Hi, this is Nicholas Vince, actor in Hellraiser and Nightbreed, author of What Monsters Do and Other People's Darkness, and you are listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I am Nasty Neil.
This is Annabelle Lecter.
Yes, and we're joined by Blair Bathory, the hostess of FEAR HAUS.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It is a real pleasure to have you here. You've started this new thing. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Yes, thank you so much for having me as well. I am very excited to be hosting my new web show that features independent short horror films, which just so happen to be my favorite thing in the entire world, and heaven and hell. Basically, I am introducing said films online bi-weekly, and they're all independent directors. I like to say I'm curating an online museum of horror. So check it out, FEAR HAUS, fearhouse.com, FEAR HAUS on Facebook, FEAR HAUS on Twitter, FEAR HAUS on Instagram. We're all over the place.
Yeah.
And I want to put it out there, people out in the audience. It's not FEAR HAUS like House, House, House.
Yes.
It's Haus. And the graphic is very cool, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, that's a depiction of my home, my FEAR house. Yes, it's the Germanic spelling, so it's Haus, which, I thought it looked a lot better too. It was more even than if I spelled it the other way.
I'm going to start pronouncing it FEAR HAUS!
Yeah, exactly. That's how I want everyone to say it, is by screaming it at the top of their lungs. It also makes you feel better when you do that. You just release that energy.
Just getting it out.
Yeah.
Get it all out.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned loving short horror films, and I as well, and Annabelle, and always a big fan of anthologies, and now you've taken the shorts and gave them a home as part of an anthology. And so how did the idea come about? When did you start thinking about doing this?
Well, basically, I have been in the scene, the filmmaking scene, for quite a while now. I've been writing and directing and killing people for several years. And it dawned on me in that process, making movies, not killing people, that there was nowhere after the immediate release of the film, there was nowhere for it to go, and it kind of faded into obscurity. And after the closing of FearNet, which was the only place I was aware that was consistently putting out short horror films, I didn't see anyone else curating that content and, like you said, Neil, giving it a home. So I've always been a big fan, like yourself, of anthologies and horror hosts and Tales from the Crypt and Goosebumps and Tales from the Dark Side and Are You Afraid of the Dark and The Twilight Zone. And it just seemed like a really good match, having these really excellent short films paired with a hostess. And frankly, I just felt like I was the right ghoul for the job. So,
and it's a win for everybody. It's a win for you, and you get some new content. It's a win for them because it is another place for them to be seen, and a place where, like you said, they're not going to be forgotten about or lost. People can, if they just find FEAR HAUS, they can go back and look at some of the other ones. And it's a win for the audience because they can get to see all these different short stories.
Absolutely, and that's the thing too, is the films. Eventually, I am working deals with some of the fear makers to do worldwide online premieres with us, and that hopefully will be coming in the future. But for now, everything has already been released publicly. So a lot of these films are 2, 3, 4 years old. And like I said, they've kind of just faded away. and I'm breathing new life, if you will, into them, and digging them up from their graves.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say it's excellent because there are a lot of people in the horror community that are, they're used to seeing some mainstream things or maybe something here and there, but this is a way for a whole new audience that maybe doesn't do independence but love the anthology idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that they can watch something every couple of weeks, or they can catch up in a couple months or whatever, and sit there and be able to enjoy these and know there's more coming out. It's a giant opportunity.
Absolutely. And everyone that I've spoken to about it or has seen the series thus far really enjoy it. And, I like to think that I have a pretty good eye for good movies because I've been a part of making them for so long. And I just know so many filmmakers and their work that's out there that are so good. And frankly, they just don't have the audience there. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to hopefully build a very large audience that these filmmakers can go to and say, hey, here's my stuff. And, I am more than happy to be their cheerleader.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier about, in the future having some people, show them on Fear House for the first time, like the debut. Yep. But right now, is it mostly people that you knew previously? How does someone get their stuff shown on Fear House?
So I have a list, a list of about 300 films and filmmakers that I have already searched out that they're films that I want to get on the show. So about 350 so far, but there's many more. There's so many more. Right now, I started with people that I personally know, just because I figured I'd have a better chance getting them on there at this point, because the audience is still pretty small, because the series has only been out publicly for 2.5 months, somewhere around there. So I've been planning it and talking about it for much longer, but the episodes have only been public for 2.5 months. But eventually, I want to start reaching out to people I've never met before. I've had a few people contact me out of the blue wanting to be involved. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I have this list that I would like to get on there before I start reaching out to other people or taking submissions. But the amount of content that's out there is unbelievable, honestly. I mean, once you start digging for it and just searching on Google short horror films and going on Vimeo and YouTube and just watching the film festival lineups, it's really remarkable how much content's out there. Mm-hmm. So there will never be. I've had a lot of people ask, like, how do you know there's going to be enough short films for your series to continue? And I kind of laugh because it'll never run out. So, mm-hmm. But people can submit if they'd like.
Is that exciting? Is that exciting for you too? Because you know all these people. You said you have a list of 300, but then there's even other people that you might not know, and you can discover yourself. They send in your stuff, and you get to see something new for the first time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love discovering new talent and watching movies I've never seen. It's kind of a selfish thing too, because I get to watch horror movies all the time now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly watching movies and researching filmmakers that I've never known about before. For instance, I had heard his name before, but I didn't really look into his stuff, and I hadn't watched any of his work. But Andy Stewart from the UK, which he did Split, he was episode 4.
Oh, this is a Scottish guy, right?
Yes. And
which has amazing effects, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely stunning special effects, great storytelling. He's the new Cronenberg. He is the new Cronenberg. He's the independent Cronenberg.
It really made me think of The Fly.
Yes, it's very much in that vein. But when I watched some of Andy's stuff and I reached out to Andy, I was just amazed at his talent and what he's doing over there. So I kind of pushed him to the front of the line because I was just so impressed with his work. So he's a great guy. And then who else has been on there? So I started the series with Patrick Ray from Kansas City, and him and I have never met in person, but we've been talking for a long time, and a mutual friend introduced us. And I just think Patrick is great, and he's the epitome of what you think of when you think of an independent filmmaker. I mean, he's constantly making films. I mean, he's prolific. I mean, he's made over 30 short films. And I've made...
How old is this guy?
I don't know. He can't be more than 40. There's no way.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. I mean, I've made 3, and that almost killed me. So, and he's done a feature, Nailbiter, which I'm pretty sure is on Chiller. Mm-hmm. So really excellent filmmaker. And then I had, who was after that? Andy Stewart was after that, and then it was Izzy Lee, and she's in Boston. And again, another great independent filmmaker, doing her thing. And that's another thing. I really want to focus on trying to make everything equal. And I don't like saying a female filmmaker, but I want to have a lot of female films. And so Izzy started that. So she's numero uno. And we showed Picket, which again was all practical effects. And then after that, we showed John Pata, and he is in Wisconsin. Another great movie. Really impressed with his work. And so this week is Brian Lanano's short film, The Transmission, which, not to pick favorites, but this movie is so good. When you see it, it's super impressive, really interesting plot, harkens back to the golden age of horror filmmaking. I mean, it's just a really good movie, not just a short film. It's a really good movie, and I totally dig it. So
I love the trailer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I said I love the trailer.
Oh, yeah, we had so much fun. That was the first time the first 6 episodes, we were really just getting our feet wet and trying to figure out, what we were doing, basically. I mean, everything was brand new to all of us, me, the crew, everybody. And essentially, when Brian came on set, who's the director of The Transmission, he just threw so many ideas into the pot, and he gave us a lot of footage, actually, from his film. So, and actually, him and I have discussed him coming on and collaborating on Fear Haus, which would be great. So he's a great filmmaker as well. But yeah, so and he's from Atlanta. So I've had someone from the UK, Boston, Wisconsin, Atlanta, Kansas City, and then the next few episodes, director from Los Angeles, a director from India. So that's the other thing about Fear Haus that I think is unique is it's open to anybody. Mm-hmm. International films, male or female director, any type of storyline, all subgenres, as long as it falls under the umbrella of horror, it's fair game.
Yeah. There was, you mentioned obviously Tales from the Crypt and the shows that we all loved watching. But, they all had like a half-hour format or an hour, I guess some of them. But that's another thing that's great about being online is you don't have to fit a certain format. So you have some that are a few minutes long. You have some that are around 18 minutes long. So you can, there's no, like, real hard format for the length of the films.
Yes, that is, and that I had a lot of people say, wait, don't put your idea out on YouTube, don't make it public until you get, funding slash distribution from somebody, get on a network. And I said, fuck that. Nobody's going to allow me the freedom to do whatever I want, have whatever film. I mean, a lot of people would not allow Andy Stewart's work on a lot of networks. I mean, it's pretty gnarly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, like my films alone have nudity in them. So you couldn't include my movies or some other movies I've seen, So I wanted the most freedom I could possibly have. And like you said, it can be any length under 20 minutes. I'm not taking anything longer than 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really the only requirement is less than 20 minutes, horror movie, and it has to have a certain level of production value, which is basically just judged by me. But again, I like to think that I have a pretty keen eye when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that it's important for you to have women involved, and you've also mentioned that there's a global element to it where you really want to have things from around the globe. How important do you feel it is to try to bring in people who might have seemed like underdogs as opposed to like, here's the white guy coming along with all the normal stuff?
Yeah, extremely important. I like, yes, I'm the horror hostess, I'm the writer-director, I'm the, I guess, actress now, whatever. But I'm also an artist, I think, first and foremost. And I appreciate good art. I appreciate good film. I appreciate creativity. So honestly, I'm not, when somebody sends me something or I see something, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a guy or a girl or black, white, Asian, whatever. As long as you are making fabulous art, I'm gonna want to promote your stuff and talk about your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because that would be the definition of true equality. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't say, oh, I want to make sure I have a lot of women or a lot of whoever. It should really, if it was all equal, it wouldn't matter who made it as long as it was good. Yeah,
exactly. The only thing about the woman thing is, it really will blow your mind if you. And I think, Annabelle, you're a part of the group on Facebook I'm a part of. I've struggled a long time with my gender in the industry I'm in, meaning it's tough. I mean, I know that's cliche or whatever, but it truly is difficult for women to be in this industry. It really is. And I thought I was totally alone. I honestly did not know there was other female horror film director, writer, producers in the world up until about 3 years ago when I think I just found it. I just stumbled upon, it was called Women Directors of Horror and Sci-Fi, and I think now it's called EDGE, which I don't even know what that stands for. But yeah, I don't know what it's called, like the meaning of that is. But
that's basically what it is.
Right, but it's all women horror writer-directors. That's it. And there's like 1,000 members, I think. And just reaching out to them and connecting with them. And, like Jill 6, she's going to hate me. I have such a hard time pronouncing her actual last name. Javarzian.
Uh-huh.
It's a tough name. I love her to death. I think she's a really awesome person. Her name is so tough to pronounce. So Jill 6.
That works.
Yeah, Izzy Lee and Javanka Vukovic and the Saska sisters and Gigi with Luchagor and all these. I mean, I'm naming the really prominent ones, but there's so many more. Lynn Hansen and but anyway, the point is there's so many female directors that have phenomenal movies, and I just I don't think they get enough attention. I really don't. So if I can use my platform to help that in any way, I definitely want to, so.
My question to that is, though, do you feel it's helpful to group together and say, here are all these women, look at them go, or just have them mixed in with guys and be like, here's a bunch of people making movies?
That's the thing. That's Annabelle, that's the difference, I think, from what I'm doing versus, and I think what they do is great, but the Women in Horror Month thing and all the other, like, very specific, only women thing. Like I said, the difference from Fear House is they are not grouped. They're not categorized. Like, Izzy was just thrown in there. It wasn't like female.
I gotta get a woman.
Yeah, it wasn't female filmmaker Izzy. I wanted to screen her new film, but she's still in the festival circuit, so hopefully I can premiere it, which I haven't even talked to her about that. So, Izzy, if you're listening, I'd like to premiere your new short film. But no, I thought hers went in the lineup, like, after Split and what was going on. Like, the marriage equality thing had just happened and her film was very relevant. It just seemed like a really good time to screen that film. So, it just happened to be a female director. But no, all I'm saying is they exist, and I don't think they don't get enough attention, like I said. So, but I'm not going to say, here's the male films and here's the female films.
Yeah. You're really just giving a place that is not, this is a men's club. It's just, come here. If you got something good, cool. If you don't, you don't. But if you've got something, you don't have to worry about having that fight. Exactly. It's not biased is the thing. Yeah. So I've seen, and I think on both sides, I think I see biased. I mean, I see biased from the women to the men and from the men to the women. What I'm saying is there are good films from everybody. So that's my only requirement, like I said, is good horror movies. So
yes. Actually, last year when I was in Atlanta at a convention, and we were sitting in the lobbies after we played Uno, because it was a very exciting convention, so we were playing Uno in the lobby. But there was a group of podcasters talking to a female director, and they were saying, "Oh, so we're going to do an interview with you tomorrow," and I wasn't paying too much attention, and they were like, "So we'll introduce you, a female director, Dana Nofke." And she's like, "Well, why would you say that? You wouldn't say, like, if you were interviewing, male director, we have male director, so-and-so on the show." Plus, when she would start talking, and when you hear her name's Dana, you would realize she's a female, so there was no reason to announce her as female director. It was pretty funny.
Well, and I actually know Dana, and shout out real quick for her.
She's very cool.
Actually helped with the set decoration on Fear House.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely, lovely person. I think she's amazing. I've seen a lot of her work. I'm pretty sure I'm screening one of her shorts at a film festival I'm hosting. I think. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, Dana, if I'm not, but I think
if not, it's going to be out there for people to check out.
I know she is, John.
I'm pretty sure I am. But at any rate, Dana is amazing, and she has a great outlook on that stuff, I think, too. So, I mean, I think for the most part everyone does, but there are a few people I think are just a touch biased.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I have to say I feel it personally that's difficult at times, because it's like if you're a woman and you say some of this stuff, it's almost like people think that you're perpetuating sexism by not being like, women. Yeah. I, like Annabelle, I'm sure you know. I mean, you're an artist. You work in the horror scene. I mean, it's tough to be a lady. It just all around. And it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. Yeah.
But bottom line is, there are good films for men, women. Yeah. That's it.
Yep.
So I'm gonna screen, or I'm gonna promote, screen, include all the good movies. So
So
if you have a good short horror film, submit it to Fear House.
Yeah. And if you want to watch some, watch Fear House.
Watch Fear House, submit to Fear House. Be in Fear House.
Exactly.
If people wanted to get involved outside of screening films,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything that you looking for people? Have you got your crew set? Is there anything else people could do to help you guys aside from just watching and obviously sharing and promoting?
Yeah, so right now the next step that has to happen is I've got to get 500 subscribers on the YouTube channel. And here's why. Nobody outside of who I'm immediately talking to on my Facebook or Instagram or Twitter is going to find me organically through YouTube until I have a custom URL. And YouTube has a new thing now where you cannot have a custom URL until you hit the 500 subscriber mark.
That's rough.
And I know I'm getting really annoying on my Facebook to my friends and family. So I'm tired of talking about it, but it's extremely important.
Yeah, because you want to be able to direct people and say, just go here.
Yeah.
Not, here's a giant long string of letters and numbers.
Yeah, that's odd you brought that up, because I actually went on your on YouTube earlier to write down, all the URL, and it was like this crazy URL, and I was like, oh, I can't read that off on the show, but now it has a perfect reason why.
Well, yeah, that's why. And it's a new thing. It's within this year, I think they changed it. So, which sucks, but and what's sad about it is I own the Fear House domain name. So I own fearhouse.com. I have Fear House Instagram, Gmail, blah, 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 blah. So the only thing that's missing is the YouTube, which is the main thing.
Yeah.
So I need people to subscribe. That is very important. And the other reason that I need that is there are a lot of really big opportunities. I can't talk about them yet, but the biggest opportunities I've ever been given, sitting on the sidelines, waiting for subscribers and views and interaction. So if you are genuinely into the idea, you honestly like the show, you enjoy me as a host, you enjoy the movies, start interacting. And what that means is get people to subscribe yourself, comment on the videos. That's another reason I did this was, and this brings me to my next point. As a independent filmmaker, as an artist in general, right? Well, for me anyway, you honestly put your work out publicly to get constructive criticism. At least I do. I genuinely want to know what people think, because as a filmmaker, artist, what have you, musician, you can't grow if people are just whacking you off the whole time.
Yeah, if you're just in your little bubble and people praise you all the time.
Exactly.
Well, you might know you like it, but you have to see critical opinion to know how to improve.
Right. So, and I think there's this. I mean, I understand people don't want to be mean, and I appreciate that too, in a sense. But at the same time, I really want to know what you think. So part of the reason in doing Fear House is I thought putting people's films out in the public without any attachment to them, attached to Fear House, but not to them really, people would give their honest opinions on it. And YouTube is infamous for that. So, but nobody's commenting. So I
did.
you have, and you are fantastic. And I actually, I think what you're saying is great. I really do. And I really haven't heard from the filmmakers yet, but what I think you say has validity to it. So I really appreciate it. And I read what you said about First Date, and I know you really, I mean, that's how you originally found out who I was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I just saw here's Facebook, here's some video. I honestly don't even know why I watched it, because it wasn't like now it is where you've got a little preview and it started showing you the video. It just was there. Oh, okay.
Right.
It was fantastic. Anybody who hasn't seen First Date, if you just Google Blair and you Google the words First Date, then I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find it immediately. It's awesome. I love it.
Well, thank you. So that was the first film I ever honestly directed. I had done a music video and a PSA, and like I've been working in the industry since I was 15 years old. So whatever that is, I'm about to be 25. But First Date was the first time that I did something I wanted to do. That was the first time that I fought for an idea, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time anybody went along with anything I had to say. So, I mean, I don't know if that's why people really like it, because that was like raw Blair. That was Blair in a really low point writing that script. So, and Kitty Kitty was like that too. And Kitty Kitty, I think, would have been a really interesting film, and it was it hit really close to home for me. I mean, what I was talking about in that movie was deep for me. I mean, I've told people in interviews before that Kitty Kitty was like a journal entry for me. So it hurts. That's why I think when I look back on that film and I see all the mistakes, and I know people don't like that movie as much as First Date, it like burns me to the core, because it was so much deeper than First Date was for me personally.
Well, I'd watched your interview with Nicholas Berman Vince, and it was just an amazing story to know what had been going on. That you had a lot of personal things, you had a lot of technical things. There was just so many things in the way. And all of that having happened, and you kind of feel, I'm sure you yourself feel ripped off by that experience. So would you go back to it and try it again in the future?
You mean the idea, or would I go like time
to the
travel
story
back?
No, would you take the story and try to remake your own film?
No. No, I wouldn't, because one, it would drudge up a bunch of memories that I really don't want to remember. And two, I don't believe in that. You know, I had my chance. I did the best I could. Everyone did the best they could. And let me say, before I make it sound like this pity party, everyone involved in that movie, whether they were a complete asshole or they were a savior, really honestly, I think did the best they could. And I can't thank them all enough. I think that's a part of it too. I feel so guilty that I couldn't pull it from the trenches, you know, because if anybody's ever directed a film, you can really equate it to being a general, or, I mean, and this is a little dramatic, but honestly, you can equate it to being a general or a pirate captain or something like that. I mean, you're especially on an independent film, you know, you're really fighting for your idea, and you have all these people blindly following you, and they entrust in you in your vision, and when you can't pull it off, it's the shittiest feeling ever. So, you know, when I, watch it now, or I hear people talk about it or not talk about it, I think that's what hurts more, is when people don't talk about it. Because I want people to say, wow, this amazing movie, blah, 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 blah. People don't say that. So I've had to just suck it up and say, okay, it's not what I wanted it to be. And again, I did the best I could with what I had.
Did you know even before it was public or as you were going along that it wasn't going to be what you thought it was going to be?
Yes. First day. I knew the first day.
Wow.
So I just knew, I don't know, this is weird. It's like, maybe this is different for this. I'm sorry to bring this up again, but maybe this is different for male directors or male filmmakers. But me, and I assume other women feel like this, it's like giving birth. It's like you have this idea, you incubate it, you have all these people involved that are like your quote unquote family, and the finished production is the baby, right? Well, my baby.
So this is like Rosemary's Baby.
Right. My baby was severely deformed, and like I could feel it inside of me. Like I knew up front, like it's like me laying there and getting a sonogram, and they're like, oh, there's something wrong with your baby. I knew up front that it just was not gonna go well. And that mainly stemmed from the other people involved. I mean, I knew there was just signs. I mean, people will tell you all day long that they'll do X, Y, and Z for you, but when it comes to making it happen,
yeah,
they don't make it happen. So, not that that's any fault of theirs.
It just was how it worked out.
Yeah, that's just how it worked out. And you as the producer, director, writer, the person in charge, you have to figure that shit out. And and the thing about Kitty Kitty, which I think is, I mentioned the last time I talked to you, was we shot it twice. We shot that film twice. So not only did I shoot one shitty movie, I shot two shitty movies. And, for some whatever reason, 90% of the cast and crew came back the second time around and did it again. Even after the first terrible experience, they came back and did it again. So that's just heartbreaking for me. It's like, God, you all believed in me, and I still couldn't pull it off for you. I'm making it sound so dramatic.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, that was your life, and I'm sure it was. I know because you'd mentioned it before, and even now it's clear. It was just a painful thing. This is a giant chunk of your life that you start off with hope, and you get. I think it is dramatic. That's what people make movies about. That. In fact, I was going to say, would you make a movie about a person that was pregnant that got all like deformed and crazy?
That would be interesting. I have
to like a movie reel.
I'm really drawn to movies about pregnancy for whatever reason. And actually the original script of Kitty Kitty did not involve that much pregnancy stuff. Mm-hmm. And when we had the second chance, I added a bunch of that stuff because what it had become was this big metaphor for my life at that time.
Yeah.
And yeah. So nope. I should have just aborted life at that moment. Like it's just said, abort mission. But
now it's out there, and
yeah, I mean it's still not.
Keep it locked away in the basement.
Public. Yeah. I keep it chained up under my stairs. But it's still not public. The film isn't, and that's not because I'm ashamed of it. I've held on to the hope of getting into festivals for so long, mm-hmm. but I'm so broke that I can't do that. So I'm screening it because this is the perks of being a festival coordinator. I'm screening it at one of the festivals I'm involved in. And then after that, I am going to put it out into the world. And then then it'll become what most short films become, just a faded memory. Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway.
Would you feel compelled or maybe restricted in showing your own things on Fear House?
I have thought about it, and I've had two sides of the fence talk to me about it. I've had people say, well, you can't involve your own films, that's biased. And then I've had other people, well, you have to involve your film or you look like a pussy. So I'm not really sure yet. I'll probably wait for a while because I want to give other people a chance. I think First Date had a really good premiere, and I didn't even put, like most filmmakers put their films in film festivals first. We made First Date and put it directly online, and I mean it's at like 40,000 views on YouTube now.
I think it's got like almost 200,000 views.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's like 40,000. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while.
Maybe it is 40,000-ish.
But
that's regardless. That's a lot of people that are watching this movie that really had no advertising aside from yourself and word of mouth.
Right. I didn't advertise it at all, and like yourself, you found it randomly. Mm-hmm. It's on like Tumblr a lot. Like people have tumbled it, or however you say that, and talked about it, and I didn't even reach out to them. Like for Fear House and Kitty Kitty, I made an effort to get the word out on those projects. First Date, I was just like, okay, it's done, it's going out, and somehow people found it. Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe I've been doing it all wrong since First Date. But I feel like First Date had a really good audience. And there's some movies that I think are absolutely brilliant that have just never been seen. So.
Yeah, by the way, it has almost 40,000 views.
Okay. I was thinking, I think
it will someday have.
Way
over.
After this interview.
Well, once Fear House starts going, I'd written this recently that I can't imagine this project being squashed. As you said, you've got full control over it now, so as long as you've got filmmakers to support it and you've got a place to do it.
Yeah.
And because there really is a massive love for anthologies from horror people. I don't know any horror people who have said, I hate anthologies. Most people are, I wish there were more anthologies, because just like you listed off, Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, and Twilight Zone, and all these others. As a lot of people, that's what they grew up with. And even a film like Creepshow.
Right.
Stuff like that. People love it.
Well, you have modern day ABCs with Death, VHS, the new Halloween Tales, or whatever the fuck that's called.
That one sounds good.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over Halloween-themed stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Just me personally. I'm over zombies, I'm over Halloween stuff, and I'm over found footage.
I definitely agree with you on that one.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, or I was yelled at recently. I hate to bring this up in the show because they were nice people, but I was interviewing some people who made what I call the found footage movie, and I brought up found footage and like, no, it's not found footage. It is point of view, and I was like, oh my god.
Right. There's a big difference there.
It's like it's not a remake; it's a reimagining.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, regardless, I'm over that style of movie making. Although I work at the studio I work at, you've seen VHS, yes?
Yeah.
So the first, which I think is the best segment 1 with the demon girl. So the main guy that falls down the stairs and breaks his arm and gets flown away, that guy with the glasses that's filming the whole thing, I work with him at this. He works in the studio. He owns a. He's probably gonna get mad at me. He probably won't listen to this, but he owns Moonshine Productions, which he was the lead in VHS. So I've talked to him a lot about anthologies and stuff, and I've actually tried to get him and the director of that segment involved in Fear House somehow. And his best friend, which is kind of funny, his best friend is the demon in the short.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, I read recently they're actually going to make that into a full-length feature, that particular story.
That segment of VHS?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but Drew, or I shouldn't say his name, Guy X, I don't think is involved. I don't think he's like acting anymore from what he's kind of alluded to me. But yeah, that was kind of cool. I didn't know that. He just kind of said it in passing one of the first weeks I worked here, and I had like a freak out moment. Because I'm not the biggest VHS fan, but I really like that segment of VHS. Because I think it's really well done. And he's like, yeah, we shot that in the middle of Atlanta. I can take you to that place sometime, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, I'm the guy. And so I went back and watched it. I'm like, holy shit, he is the guy. That's the guy with the glasses. I work with that guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Annabelle and I went to a press screening for it in New York. And so we were taking notes, and by the end of the movie, I agree with you that I did like that segment. By the end of the movie, though, I just wrote on one big page, I never need to see found footage again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think a lot of people, I don't get it. It's like, okay, it's found footage, it's supposed to be realistic, so you have to have a purpose for the camera.
Right.
And 90% of the films that I see that are found footage have no reason to be found footage.
You would not continue to be recording at a certain point. I'm going to put this down and run away.
Yeah, there was one we saw. Like there was one we saw last year where it was about like this woman who gives birth to a demon or something. And I forget the name of it, but there was no reason at all for it to be found footage, and they even had like footage of a guy of the main character, reading
through a security camera.
Yeah, reading his looking at his computer screen, and I was just like, why would that be there? Why would they have that? And it was all different cameras, and I don't know.
Technical question about found footage. What are the differences in difficulty between doing a found footage film and just a normal film?
Well, I actually was a part of a found footage / regular movie. So the way he set it up, I'm trying to remember, I hadn't seen it in a really long time. It's called, well, it was called Kopchi or Kopi, and now it's called The Devil Incarnate. It's distributed by Raven Banner. A friend of mine, Gus Cooper, who's from the same town as I am, which is funny. We started directing horror movies pretty much at the exact same time. But anyway, he did a feature called The Devil Incarnate, and that one is like half regular movie and half found footage. And from what I remember, I don't want to call him out. I just remember it being easier to do the found footage bit.
Yeah. That's what it seems from just the outsider, not a film person that's been in film production point of view, that, walking around with the camera seems way easier.
But that was that experience. I feel like on VHS, or on the opening segment on VHS, I feel like that one was a little more precise than most.
Thoughtful.
Yeah. I think it's like two ends of the spectrum. You either are very precise with it, or you're not. So, I'm trying to think like what's my favorite found footage movie, and I think, and I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this, but I really like The Fourth Kind.
I would still pick Blair Witch.
For who's in The Fourth Kind?
Well, Fourth Kind, I think is like the best found footage film I've seen. It's definitely the scariest, I think.
I've not seen it. I feel bad for saying that, but
You should.
yes.
It's actually
No, I really
Annabelle,
should.
have you seen it?
I haven't because aliens scare me.
See, and that's what I was about to say. Most people, anytime I tell anybody I love horror movies, it's like, oh, are you scared of Freddy and Jason and Michael? I'm like, no.
Oh.
Fuck those motherfuckers. I'm scared of aliens.
Yes, aliens are scary.
The scariest thing for me, like, honestly, aliens, space, and the future / robots.
Oh, robots are crazy.
Scared the shit. I mean, I watched this documentary last night about longevity and living forever, and they were talking about nanobots. Basically, yeah, that stuff just scares me.
There's
Skynet
covered because I know there was a story on CNN like a year or two ago where this really super famous science guy, he was talking about how he was part of this group and they were inventing these things that make it so you don't die. I'm not into that.
No, I'm not either. I think
seems unwise.
Dr. Ian Malcolm, as he would say, life finds a way. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we should be fucking with that kind of stuff. I really don't. I think that if we figure out how to live for a very long time or forever, the earth will just figure out a way to kill us differently. I don't think we should be fucking with that stuff. I also don't think we should mess with cloning or Matrix stuff. No. The Matrix scared the absolute shit out of me when I first saw that. Signs, I know, call me a pussy, but Signs really scared me.
Signs scared me until you saw the thing. And I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, but the stuff building up to it,
yes,
really scary stuff.
Yeah.
Boy, that's somebody that just lost their way. M. Night Shyamalan, what the hell happened to that guy?
Yeah.
About the happening. You get some bushes shaking.
That's happened. That's what happened. No, yeah, he just, man, dropped the ball. He was on such a high note with The Sixth Sense, and I personally really love Unbreakable. I think that's one of his underdog movies that nobody really talks about, but Unbreakable, such a good movie.
Yeah,
and
those characters are lovely. Mr. Glass, awesome.
Yeah, Mr. Glass.
I've seen that in a long time.
Yeah, and that scene where Bruce Willis goes into the guy's house and into the family's house, and the rapist murderer's in there, and the mom's tied up and she's dead. That part when he unties her and she just like falls, that part has always irked me.
Yeah.
Really bad for some reason. Like the way she falls and that whole scene just bothers me.
Now I need to watch. I definitely need to watch again because I want to watch for that.
Yeah, I think it was The Village when I started to dislike his films.
Yeah, I mean, The Village wasn't even as bad as The Happening or Lady in the Water.
Well, The Village came first, but then he really went downhill.
Or God forbid, should we say it, Airbender. I mean,
which is a shame because that cartoon is really cool.
You know, I've never really watched it.
I haven't either.
You know,
it's pretty good.
I see a lot of like correlation between people that like horror movies. They also like comics and anime. I have just never been into anime or comics.
I don't like anime. Comics, okay. I don't like any of the Marvel movies really. I like Batman, Dark Knight stuff.
Yeah, I just have never been into superheroes, and I guess that makes me like a watered down nerd. But yeah, it's never interested me. Like I've always been more into music and scary movies, pretty much.
They are very different things, for sure. So what do you like? Are there films you like that are more lighthearted that are not horror films?
Yeah. I mean, I really like comedy movies too, but that doesn't really go along with my image, you know. one of my favorite movies of all time, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh.
I love that. And when Robin Williams died, I cried. I honestly was heartbroken.
Yeah. You were not alone, that's for sure.
God, he just was such a integral part in my childhood. Man, I still miss him. I can't believe he's dead. I saw him live. I saw him do stand-up on my 18th birthday.
Wow.
And he's just such a force. He had such energy and just a hilarious person. I wish that was one of my goals in life, was to get to a level of fame that I could meet Robin Williams or work with Robin Williams. Yeah, so Mrs. Doubtfire, and not that I don't like anime, I appreciate it, but I just have never like seeked it. I've never like gone after it, but I really like cartoons. I mean,
what are some favorite cartoons?
I'm trying to think. I really like Ferngully again. Another Robin Williams movie, but
yeah, that's one you don't ever hear about.
I really love
He's
Ferngully.
a little bat. Yeah, Tim Curry is the bad guy. How can you go?
And that's one of my. I think Ferngully is a really good, good versus evil movie. I mean, it's just a classic movie. I really like Fievel Goes West, and
man, I forgot that series name, in American Tail.
American Tail, yeah, that's what it's called. American Tail, Fievel Goes West. I really like The Great Mouse Detective. That's a Disney.
Vincent Price.
Yep. I really like The Great Mouse Detective. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure the VHS copy I still have. Oh, and speaking of, I really liked, because I had the coolest fucking VHS of it. It was, do you remember The Indian in the Cupboard?
I remember it, but it wasn't something I watched a lot. So I do remember. I remember the book too. It was a great story.
Well, the VHS back in the 90s, it came in a like special case that looked like the cupboard.
Oh,
in
cool.
The movie. And it had a little plastic key that you could put in between the VHS sleeve and like open it.
That's awesome.
And I just remember doing that all the time. I remember just opening it with that stupid little plastic key and watching the movie. But
it's so funny how something so basic, really pretty simple like that, just can capture your imagination, really. It's something really small, but you can, I don't know.
Well, I was an only child, or I am an only child, not was, I still am, will always be, I suppose. That pissed me off. Somehow my parents, who never had any more children other than myself, have both since found somebody else to be with, and neither of them have any kids.
Oh.
So I'm like forever and always number one. So
can you adopt siblings? Can you do that instead of, just adopt a sibling? Forget adopting like a child. Just adopt a sibling and bring it over to your parents' house and be like, here you go.
10-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't think they allow that, but that would be kind of cool, I guess.
I guess you could do like one of those. Do they still do the Boys Girls like club thing?
Oh, I could do that.
Like Big Brother, Big Sister.
But it's not like something to keep though.
One of my dreams is to, if one day I have enough money to support myself and then some, I would very much like to have some type of like foundation or club or whatever that supports kids in the arts. That
totally with you.
That gives them tools. Like if somebody wants to be a filmmaker and they don't have the money, their family doesn't have the money to, buy them a cheap camera or whatever, I'd like to send them a camera.
I'm totally with you. Totally.
I think that would be really cool.
think a lot of people who get into not just the horror stuff, but I do think a lot of horror people, when you're a kid and you're able to make art, it changes your life. There's a lot of people that if they didn't have art, they wouldn't be around.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's me. I mean, again, like I didn't have siblings. I had friends, but looking back, I wasn't surrounded by children. I mean, I didn't, and I certainly was not surrounded by family. I have a very small family. Both sides of my family never lived in the same state I lived in. So I was very secluded, and if it weren't for music and art and acting and film, yeah, I mean, and I wasn't not active, but I wasn't an athlete. I didn't do anything like that. So I've always been artistic, and that was my outlet. I mean, that's how I dealt with things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think a lot of you mentioned, not having money and things like that. For some kids, they don't realize that there is an out through art.
yeah,
That there are ways to make it in life with art. And a lot of art kids they're weird, and it's like, art kid.
yeah.
You can get picked on pretty hard for making horror art. You kind of stand out if you're a kid and you do that
Especially
kind
as a
of
kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had a lot of other weird friends. I went to arts schools, so I was lucky enough to have that opportunity. I went to magnet schools my whole life, but I went to La Villa School of the Arts and I went to Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, which oddly enough, when you're a teenager, that still isn't enough. And I
Yeah.
rebelled and actually dropped out of high school when I was 17. So I never graduated high school and I did not go to college. So, but what I did do was I started working in the film industry when I was 19.
Yeah.
So,
And you'd had that exposure to be able to develop and realize that you could do something instead of just
right.
like sitting in a high school wasting away.
Well, it's funny because I went to Douglas Anderson School of the Arts from freshman to I can't even remember. I don't even think I passed freshman year ever. Like I think I just fucked around so much that they never even said you're a sophomore now. Like I'm pretty sure I'm in the freshman part of the yearbook twice. I'm pretty sure. But so the school I went to, the art school, if you didn't keep a high enough GPA, they kicked your ass out.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to go to my public high school, which I'm from the beach. I'm from a town called Atlantic Beach. And the high school there was straight up, like, what do you think of like Fast Times at Ridgemont High? That was Fletcher High School to me. Everybody was a surfer, stoner, football player. And I had, like, my school didn't even have sports. I mean, we had a gym, but there wasn't even like a basketball hoop in our gym.
Wow.
So it was like this culture shock. And so I kind of got to see both ends of the spectrum. And like, I really did not fit in at the public school. So, and that's when I dropped out. I was 17. So.
And that's what happens, I think, with a lot of those kids that are artistic and they're in an environment where it's a really limited number of those kids, unless they luck out and they happen to go to a school where there is that little group. So being able to be like, hey, you can go to this place and be with these people and you don't have to pay a lot of money to do it.
Right. Well, and the interesting thing is a lot of my peers that ended up, finishing high school at the art school don't participate in the arts anymore, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And ironic, but
did they enjoy it at the time, or were they just kind of like parents are like, you make art, go here?
I think everyone at Douglas Anderson genuinely, at least when I was there, genuinely enjoyed what they did. I mean, what was amazing about that school was you had to audition to go there. I mean, it was like Fame. It's like that movie Fame. I mean, we sing at the lunch table or anything, but everybody was a talented motherfucker. So, like, all the musicians there were classically trained musicians. The dance major students were classically trained ballerinas. I mean, they were really good at whatever they did. The only major that was kind of like really was the creative writers. They kind of were just like, eh. But I didn't really associate with a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, everyone there was good at what they did. But I think what it was they were so hard on them that they kind of beat the fun out of it for them.
Yeah.
I know that's at least what happened to me. I went for theater. I was an actress. And when I got to DA, it just wasn't fun anymore. We were doing thesis on Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet and shit. And I was like, I want to do stand-up comedy. I want to do improv. I don't want to, looking back, it's like, okay, it makes sense why I'm doing this. But when you're 15 years old, you don't want to, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you don't have that perspective to know this will actually have value later on in my life. It's like, I really am a kid and this is boring.
Yeah, I also was smoking a lot of marijuana, so I didn't really have the mental capacity to read Hamlet and, comprehend what was going on. But doing improv that's what I love to do. For a while, I wanted to do stand-up comedy, but yeah. But then I switched majors to film, and now we're here.
Would you ever want to try doing comedy? You mentioned Robin Williams, and when you said that, Miss Doubtfire, it sounds like he was such an influence on you, and being able to see his stand-up comedy act then. Would you ever try to do anything like that? At this point in your life, would you like to try it sometime?
I mean, I really consider First Aid a comedy.
Fair enough.
I think enough. Like it's horror in its own right, but it's pretty funny. I mean, it's pretty lighthearted. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to answer your question simply, yes. I mean, I've always loved comedy, and I've always respected comedians. I mean, I think comedy is the hardest genre to write and act. Your timing has to be impeccable. And what's difficult about it is not everybody thinks one thing is funny. Like, how do you find what's funny? So it's always been a challenge for me. And that's why I think I loved improv, was when you hit that nerve and you get people to laugh. It's this overwhelming feeling. So yeah, I would love to do a comedy one day. I actually have this short film that I've had written for a long time that I really, really want to do, but I have like PTSD from like doing Kitty Kitty, so I'm so nervous to start another short film. Like, I'm still healing. But
it's good because you're meeting all of these different people and seeing,
right.
And so you can learn from all that, and then
And FEAR HAUS is a good thing to be doing right now. I feel like it's exactly where I need to be. But regardless, I have this short film that is about witches, and it's a comedy / horror movie, but it's kind of Sam Raimi-esque. Mm-hmm. But I really want to do that. I've always wanted to do that. I also want to do a horror comedy about Krampus really bad.
Wait, please. Krampus is becoming my zombies.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Frustrating.
Yeah, but nobody's gotten their shit done yet. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Krampus stuff, but I haven't seen a Krampus movie done yet.
There's a video of me as Krampus out.
Oh,
it's
is
pretty
it?
Funny. Yeah, it's awesome. It was his first not speaking role I assigned him, and he was very mad, but he did such a good job.
Yes, my Krampus is mute.
Krampus, Neil.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was dressed up in like his mom's fur thing and all these random
pieces. Tell everyone that.
What? Hey, you worked with what you had.
I think it was an amazing costume.
It was.
You know what I've always wanted to know about you two? I'm going to turn the tables. And you've probably addressed this. I just have never heard it. But how did you meet?
Aha. Well,
through the human centipede.
It's very true. It's a joke. Human centipede brings people together because I came along and knew nobody. I didn't listen to podcasts. I love horror movies, but I was in a very, very small nobody, and I wanted to be that way. I wanted to just be this non-entity living out my horror life. Mm-hmm. And I just saw the movie Human Centipede, and I like doing art from film that interests me. So I painted this painting of Dr. Hyder and ended up posting it to Dieter Laser's wall. And Neil saw it, and he said, he really liked the painting, and that he'd not very long ago done an interview with Dieter Laser. And I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll listen to it. And I really enjoyed it. And so he is from the Cape. I'd had family from the Cape, and very similar sense of humor. And so it was really easy to become friends. And he's like closeted away in Sandwich, and I'm so familiar with Boston, and he's a big foodie. And so, you should come up here, and there's all these different places you can check out and all these different things you can do. And so we had thought, this was kind of just at the time, that the first time we would meet, we'd go see Human Centipede 3, because there's no way anybody we knew was going to go see it. So that would be when we'd meet. And so it just played. That's why it's got kind of like a lame name, because I said, it'll be dinner and a movie. And so we couldn't really wait that long. Well, obviously that just came out. We didn't wait that long. We ended up both kind of having an interest in seeing the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter movie. And that was another movie no one we knew wanted to see.
We give it great reviews, but since then we think it's terrible. Because the first time we were meeting each other, and we would feel bad if we hated the movie, and we're being overly nice.
The rest of the day was a disaster too, because Neil had a twisted ankle. I didn't know about it, and we were walking all over the place. It was middle of July. It was probably 90 degrees out. We went to a bacon festival. Everything was supposed to be cooked with bacon. It was all disgusting. We went to a barbecue festival. Everything there was... I don't remember. Was that the same day? I just know that it was kind of a mess.
And then the place we were going to go eat that night to review the movie. We got there and it was like an abandoned building. It was all closed down, so we had to walk around and find some place that was open.
Did get to have a drink that was on fire.
Yes, I did. I drank fire that night.
It was really on fire. Not like a little bit in the middle, like a scorpion bowl. The whole thing was on fire. It was awesome. Yeah. So and we just kept being friends. I didn't really have any interest. Not only did I not listen to podcasts, I didn't want to be on one. No desire. And Neil just kept picking at me about it. And why don't you just come on for this one thing? Fine. I'll come on. But if I want to go, I'm going to send you a little note. I'm going to be tapping out. And I thought, I'll do this to amuse Neil, and that'll be the end of it. And I'm pretty sure we had Kevin Van Hentenryck on from Basket Case, as Dwayne in Basket Case. And I loved it. I just loved talking and asking questions, genuine curiosity. I like meeting people and asking about their lives and finding out. It's a real genuine interest to get to know about a person's life. And so it was just a natural fit, and it's gone from there.
Yeah. And you asked, when Fear House was coming out, if we had any shorts we made. And we asked some, but they're probably not worthy to be on Fear House. But
no.
But before we met, we did talk about all these different movie ideas, and we have them hidden away on Facebook in notes of crazy little shorts we'd like to make. So perhaps someday. Yeah.
I don't know if they qualify as... Well, maybe the one that you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure someday they'll be made. If they make it to Fear House or not, I'm not sure. But they'll be made someday.
So... in
some form.
Well, I really hope I get to see that.
Yeah.
I'd be happy if we just did the quasi-animated ones we've been talking about. We do have that one out.
Yeah, we have one that's animation. That's Annabelle had drew pictures on napkins, and then basically animation consists of me holding up to the camera and wiggling it.
Yeah, we were staying somewhere for this really crappy convention. That was a Kalamazoo convention, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and it was just junk. It was a total failure. I don't have a problem saying this because they screwed over lots of people. And not really us, but the people that were celebrities there. Anyways, so Neil was kind of bummed out, and I just started drawing these really stupid drawings. And then there was this idea, well, why don't we just do this, and you can do this voice. And it's terrible, but we had a good time.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well,
Just like
I
everything
really
we do.
hope you two can come to Spooky Empire.
That would be great. It would. I think that's the plan. I think we've both settled that this is going to happen.
Yeah, it's the largest horror convention. And let me talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, I digress. I want to read y'all something really quick because I think it's really interesting. So I posted on my Facebook earlier today asking people to subscribe to the Fear House channel, again, because I need 500 subscribers, blah, blah, blah. So a lady just commented on it. I don't know who she is. Like, I don't remember her, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to read you the comment because I think it's really funny and kind of a testament to who I am as a person. She says, Blair, I don't know if you remember this, but when you were about 8 years old, you took your paintings door to door and sold me several. I knew then that you would be extremely successful in life. I just subscribed. Let me know if I can do anything else to help you out. I haven't spoken to this woman since I was about 8 years old, apparently, and she just commented on my Facebook, and
That's awesome.
I actually remember doing that. I don't think I needed anything or wanted anything, but I remember going to my dad one day, and I used to paint really shit paintings because I am not a visual artist whatsoever. Never have been, don't claim to be. But it was just scribbles and crap. And I just remember going to my dad one day in the apartment complex we lived in and said, Dad, I'm going to go make some money. And I just took and gathered all my paintings and took them in a bag, and I just went door to door and sold them. And
That's
apparently
amazing.
she was one of the buyers.
I think that's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny that she literally just commented, so I thought I'd
Yeah,
share.
so she would have had to have found you.
Yeah, I don't know how these people... It's funny, when you start doing something, anything, it's not even... Like, Fear House could be complete shit, who knows? But when you start doing anything with your life, people come out of the woodwork, and they're like, oh, hey, remember me? Oh, hey, you want to talk about this? Oh, hey, you want to go on a date? Well,
And Neil
at
has
least-
a lot of
Yeah,
hey, you remember me in junior high and I was an asshole to you? Let's be friends.
Yeah, yep.
Really?
Yeah, I used to have, it was somebody used to punch me in the arm and used to lick their fingers and stick them on my glasses when I wear glasses, and then like they copped this attitude because I wouldn't go out to eat with them, and they're like, "Oh, I was friends with you since we were 12," and I was thinking, I think they have a very different definition of being friends, but
Yeah, it's funny what people choose to remember from
Yeah.
the past.
it'll be a
When
lot of
they
girls
want
who will,
something.
yeah, it'll be a lot of girls who will, they'll probably see me with, doing whatever, and they'll start messaging me, like we were great friends, and like, I don't think you ever said hi to me once throughout all of high school, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, fuck them.
Yes.
No.
Spooky Empire.
Spooky
Yeah.
Empire. That's it. Okay, so Spooky Empire. Real quick, I'll talk about that. So I was asked by Spooky Empire to come on as the new film festival director, and I have taken that position, and it will be sponsored by Fear House and also be hosted by me, and I am also getting the films for the festival. So filmmakers, if you're listening, submit your short and feature-length horror movies to the Spooky Empire International Horror Film Festival through Film Freeway. Very, very, very low submission fees. And I can guarantee that if you make it into the festival, your films will not only get seen by a very large amount of people, but they also may get seen by Mr. George Romero. Tony Todd is going to be there. The Grady twins from The Shining, Nev Campbell. They're doing a Rocky Horror Picture Show reunion. They're doing a Fright Night reunion. There's a lot of shit going down. So it's a really cool festival. Everyone should be there. Spooky Empire Ultimate Horror Weekend in Orlando, Florida. So there's my shameless self-promotion.
No, it's awesome.
No, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually is a really cool opportunity because it's just another avenue for independents to get their stuff seen. So submit your stuff. And hopefully Annabelle and Neil will be joining me. So we'll party.
If the invite is there, we'll be there.
The invite is definitely there. You should definitely try and come. And the other thing about Spooky is that it's one of the, well, I don't know this for sure. I mean, it's not on the brochure or anything, but it's one of the party hard conventions. They have a party every night, and the celebrities come down and party usually, and it's a good time. I've always had a really good time. I went as a fan for a really long time, and now I'm a part of it. In the Spooky family, and I've always had a really good time. Maybe too much of a good time some years, but yeah.
You know who has a good time? Patricia Quinn.
Oh, really?
Oh man, Neil had to prop her up and help her back to her room.
I actually heard a really great story about Tara Reid. There one year, which she's kind of infamous, I guess, as a party girl. And she didn't live her infamy down. I mean, a good friend of mine, Sid Graves, which, Annabelle, you should really check him out if you haven't. You would really like his stuff. Sid Graves, he is a photographer, and literally all he shoots is cemeteries. But he does it in very interesting ways, and he does collages, and he builds cool frames for them. Cool. Really nice guy, really talented photographer.
I've got his page, cemeteryprints.com.
Yes, that is him. He's actually pretty much the main reason I got the gig at Spooky. He's good friends with the owner of Spooky Empire, and I think he put a really good word in for me. So thanks, Sid.
How did you find this guy?
Sid Graves?
Yeah.
Because going back to Morgan Wilson, who you should check her stuff out too. She's an artist in Orlando. She is always a vendor there at Spooky Empire, and I'm her quote-unquote booth bitch. And Sid Graves is good friends with her. He's always there. I think he's been at Spooky Empire every single year since conception. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, we just became friends through going to Spooky Empire together. And I think we both have a mutual respect for each other's work. And yeah. So, really good guy. And that's another thing. Everyone at Spooky, I've been to some conventions that have like kind of a weird vibe between the vendors or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All the people at Spooky are really fucking cool and good friends, and like hang out afterwards. It's a good camaraderie.
That's nice, because you're totally right. Sometimes it's almost awkward to be like, if I go to one table and talk with someone, it's like you're somehow being disloyal if you go to this other table of someone that's selling shirts.
Yeah,
it's real weird.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's good. I know the last one we went to wasn't like that. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Texas
Frightmare.
Mm-hmm.
But that's always nice.
I haven't been to that one yet. I really want to go to that one. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have more money in the coming years to do things like that. Mm-hmm. I've put all my money into making projects, so that's my life.
Well, I'm looking forward to being a Spooky Empire.
Yeah, Spooky Empire is cool shit. Hope you can be there. And again, Spooky Empire Film Festival on Film Freeway. And real quick, I guess we're kind of coming to an end. We're hitting like close to the
90-minute mark.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know how long y'all wanted to go for, but I just want to thank on air the team behind Fear House, because I am when I say this, it's not because they're helping me currently. This is honestly how I feel. They are the best crew I have ever worked with. They are completely professional. They are really great at what they do. I'm not gonna like say all their individual names. I don't even know if they want me to do that, but you know, when you're watching movies, when you're watching independent films, know that when you're reading the credits, know that everyone in those credits worked extremely hard to make that movie. So, you know, since I've been an independent filmmaker, I make it a point to watch the credits because I know I've been there. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of those people work for credits, work for their name to be on that project. So, you know, if you have the time, check out some of the crew because they've done stuff before Fear House, you know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the editor and the DP and the sound designer and the colorist and everybody involved, they all have really cool work under their belt already. So if you ever find the time, you know, look them up and check out their websites. And, you know, by the grace of God, if you're making a movie, maybe hire them in the future and give them lots of money. So, and also on Fear House, when you're watching the movies, if you like the movies, go click the More button under Info, and literally every piece of information you need about that filmmaker is on there. Mm-hmm. Their website, their Facebook, their Twitter, sometimes their email. And if you like their stuff, go search them out. I mean, that's another thing with Fear House is I'm trying to connect the fans with the filmmakers. Yeah. So if you see something that you really like, go tell them. Mm-hmm. Go friend them on Facebook or like their film page or whatever. Yeah. All that information's there for a reason. So. Mm-hmm.
That's always exciting as a fan if you get to you when you discover you know, a new artist that you like.
Yeah, exactly. So on all the videos, I make it a point to put all that information there, and it's readily available for the viewer. So if you need it, it's there.
Very cool. Well, we want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you. You know, it's always a pleasure to talk with you both. I really. You, Without Your Head has some of the best guests, if not the best guests. I don't know how you guys pull it off. Like how you get some of the people you get on there.
We're amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Who wouldn't want to be here?
We have a goblin. we have a special goblin working for us.
And he gives blowjobs back in the alleyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. And one last time, please subscribe to Fear House if you're listening. We really need subscribers, and we have so much cool stuff coming in the future for the project and lots of more great movies. So, yeah. And if you have been watching, thank you so much.
Very cool.
It's great talking with you again.
Yeah, and, thank you.
I think we'll be seeing you in Orlando.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Well, I'll connect with you.
Hi, this is Jill Six, and you're listening to withoutyourhead.com.